Hey, how's it going, guys? I was just talking that I was just talking about how I'm wearing a UU shirt, and I have my UU hat right here, and I'm like, well, should I just full on represent and just
Double,
yeah,
yeah.
just be dripping in UU merch? So I didn't want to double dip into the the subtle product placements. No, I love you guys. Hey, how's it going? And welcome to Thursday Live Lesson. My name is Aldrine Guerrero, joined by Mr. Aaron, the voice now commercial. What's up, Aaron?
What's up?
And Mr. Kahai, the legend Ferguson. What's up, Kahai?
What's up?
So it is Thursday, 1 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. What we like to do is we like to kind of do a state of the underground address every Thursday. You know, how are you guys doing? We kind of just want to get a feel on how you guys are doing, and if you guys have any questions, if you guys are having a hard time with anything. So this is basically our Q&A kind of show. You guys ask us stuff. We'll try to answer it as best as we can. I try to answer as best as I can. These two guys will come up with their 2 cents, and we'll give you a $5 answer. I don't know how that math works, but it does. So let's get started. Kahai, give me the first question.
Yeah, this is from Jamaican Butter.
Jamaican Butter, I love it.
Yeah, and they said, I wanted to improve, but I'm not really sure how to describe my current skill level. I attempted songs like Drop Baby Drop and Tropical Hawaiian Day. For the most part, I have managed to play it through, but not without error. I have also been practicing Canon D because I want to learn chord inversions. So I guess my question is, what is the typical way people show their current skill level?
Mhm. It's tough. I mean, if I'm gonna be completely candid here, it's very, very, very tough because if somebody were to look at, say, like what I do or just like stuff that I do on stage, people would consider me like, oh, it's like he's an advanced player or whatever, you know. But if we're comparing that to someone like Benny Chong, for example, or James Hill, or you know, like those the real like high level players, then then I would be like intermediate advanced. Like I'm not necessarily a full advanced player. I know, I know my way around the ukulele, but those guys really know what what they're doing with the uke. So it's kind of tough to be like, am I a beginner? Am I a intermediate player, or am I advanced? Because it's really 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 tough to determine where you are in that, and it's just so subjective. What skill level you are. If so for us, with Ukulele Underground, if you know your basic chords, then that's considered as beginner. If you know all the chords, it doesn't require you to do a bar or anything like that. um or it doesn't require
Or
you to do
maybe
an E, or what.
yeah, maybe some like
Yeah,
you
okay,
if
yeah,
you
like
yeah, like a E chord and a B flat chord is kind of necessary in order to play some beginner
that's true.
songs.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But you can always kind of go around like playing the let's see here, that E chord with like the like this right here. I was using this ukulele to record something for my sister-in-law earlier. So yeah, it's just right here. But if you can kind of go around that and just kind of play this or play the bar and stuff, or I don't know what you kids are doing nowadays with your E, just so that you can go around it. But you can definitely work around your E chord. Okay, so yeah, if you know your basic chords, that's out of beginner. You're a beginner if you're still kind of working on those basic chords, I should say. If you know all your chord shapes, if you can do the E, if you can do the D with one finger, I'd say that's that would be an intermediate player. Okay, and intermediate advanced is it's someone like me who knows their basic what you call music theory, and can do some improvisation, can do some like pretty advanced rhythms and stuff, and can apply them on the ukulele. And advanced, I consider guys like Abe Lagrimas, who really, I mean, because a guy like me who's an intermediate advanced will go to someone like Abe and be like, hey, what is this chord? Because what is this, like I don't know what this is. And someone like Abe, who's an advanced player, went to school for god knows how long, like for music, will basically inform me and tell me what it is. But it's so it's really tough, and I don't want to discourage people from from being like, oh man, I'm only a beginner then, so but all and we've talked about this before. The beginner is not a dirty word. Beginner is just like you trying to get your bearings, with the ukulele, trying to get all the all the basic chord shapes and whatnot, and just understanding how the ukulele works. If you're an intermediate player, then you can play any, like, any basic song that doesn't require advanced techniques and stuff like that. So a lot of people are pretty satisfied with just kind of playing the ukulele and playing your chords and knowing how to strum and coming up with different rhythms and stuff. So I say, where you are right now, if you're having a hard time kind of smoothly playing through Drop Baby Drop, because you mentioned Drop Baby Drop, but you can't really like play it all the way smooth or whatever, that I would consider you're still in the beginner category, because really excuse me, Drop Baby Drop, it's these chords: A, C sharp minor 7, B minor 7, and E7. Those chords shouldn't be too bad. I mean, I talked about bar chords and stuff, and that bar chord is not like a crazy bar chord where you're doing E and then you're putting your pinky somewhere or whatever. Like it's just a simple one finger bar chord, and so if you're trying to play through that and trying to just play it nice and consistent with the right hand, doing a consistent strum with the right hand, even if it's just a down up down up, even if you're adding like chunks and rolls and stuff, so that's closer to a beginner, I would say. A lot of people really, and it's tough to be honest or to be candid, because a lot of people, once they kind of get past the the roll your boats, they feel like, oh, I'm now an intermediate player because I can play like all these songs and stuff. But if all those songs are the same exact chords as like a beginner, like a beginner skill set chords and stuff, then it's still a beginner. But beginner's not a bad word,
Yeah.
It's not a dirty word. It's fine to be a beginner. I was a beginner for 10 years, I would say, until after I graduated from high school, where like I really learned music and music theory and kind of applying those things to my ukulele. What do you guys think?
I told them too the saying that you like to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like you have a white belt, like it's martial arts. You have a white belt,
Yeah.
and it gets dirty, and then you gotta, when you get to black belt, that doesn't mean it's the end. It means that you gotta wash off your belt, right? And it turns white again, and so you're starting all over again. And I think music is always gonna be like that. Like no matter how far you go, there's always gonna be something that is just like, I have never considered playing like that, or I've never considered doing that, and I'm like, that's my next step. That's my next learning block, or that's my next stepping stone. I'm sure if you ask if you ask Abe or Benny or any of those players, like you ask them like, oh, so is there stuff that you still work on or you still have a hard time with? I'm sure they would be like, like these things I'm still trying to figure out, or I'm trying to get better at and stuff. So everybody's. It's not like you're trying to work to the next level. I think if you're looking at yourself, it's always should be where you're just trying to get better, just trying to take that next step, right?
Constantly getting your belt dirty, because it's just white and black, and in order for it to get black, you just keep working with that white belt on, that it just gets so dirty that it turns black, and you wash it and it just turns, then you're back in white belt. And that's like honestly the best way to put it, because like we're just not just with music, but just us as humans in general, like we're constantly learning new things, and we're never like we never know everything with anything, like there's always something that you can learn, that you can get better on, and even those advanced players, like they've got stuff that that could make them better. And so don't worry about it. Don't worry about like I would say just don't even worry about it. Don't even worry if you're a beginner or intermediate or advanced. Just just worry about yourself.
And it really is all it is just like semantics, you're just it's just labels, like they're all arbitrary anyway. But and that's why the term beginner is kind of confusing, because like you usually think like it's related to the word begin, you know. So like I began like, you know, years ago, but it's not, you know, but I don't feel like I'm still a beginner, you know. Because it's so long ago. But you know, that's it's all really just relative, because I kind of picture it like a tree. So you know, there at the base there are things that you have to learn in order to even like hold the ukulele and kind of strum it correctly. And then you learn all the things that most everybody learns and get better and better at those things, until you get to the point where the tree kind of forks, and then you can take those paths to jazz or to blues or to all the different, you know. And so like somebody that's far along on one branch may not be able to compare themselves to somebody who's far along on another branch, because the skill sets for those things are totally different, you know. And so like I would say that Abe is like pretty like masterful at jazz or ukulele jazz, whereas Aldrine, like he wouldn't be able to do the same kind of things that Aldrine does for, you know, his style of playing on a different branch, you know. But they have mastered like all the basics, you know, at the base of the tree, and have gotten up far enough on the tree with, you know, the kind of intermediate bending and, you know, techniques to make their ukulele do the things that they want it to do. And then they got really specific on the style of their playing, and then they have specific techniques that they've gotten really good at in the direction of the playing style that they wanted to go. So it's kind of like that, you know. So for everybody it's going to be different, because the style that you want to play is going to be different, and the way that you express yourself is going to be different from somebody else. So it's almost not comparable, you know. There are things that you have to know in order to be able to kind of get music out, but beyond that it's all up to you.
Really? I think it's a journey too, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't worry about like kind of like, oh, am I intermediate yet? Am I advanced yet? Have I reached the branch or whatever, you know? Like just, it's about like just growing and just kind of, you know, and it's about the journey. It's about learning things. It's about like discovering new things in the ukulele, because that's, I mean, to this day, a lot of stuff excites me with, you know, about the ukulele. I'm still discovering things, you know, that I can do. A couple years back, I said I was working on some jazz stuff, and, you know, and that made my playing a whole lot better. Now I'm like focusing on some campanellas and some classical techniques, and it's just blowing my mind, like what, you know, what you can do with like just simple campanellas even, and how that completely changes, you know, just the way that you approach the ukulele. So there's always something really cool, and I think that's what you should focus on, is in like all the things that's left for you to, you know, for you to learn. It's infinite, really. Like, you know, you think you know, you grew that branch. It's like, oh, I guess I can try to grow this one or that one or whatever, you know. There's so much stuff to learn about the ukulele, and I think that's what you should be excited about more than worrying about like, am I intermediate yet? Are we there
yet? Although that said, we really should work on doing that from the base of the tree all the way up to the, you know, like really lay that out so that you guys can know, you know, I'm missing some things, and you know, and then from there you can branch out to wherever you want to go, but really get the base of the tree solid. So we'll figure out a way to lay that out in a logical manner for everybody.
A tree. There's a tree right here. It's growing.
So it's growing. Yeah.
It's growing.
I think the thing that people want, or people like, there's a certain type of person who like wants like hard numbers, right? Like if you play a sport, or you do, like if you play baseball, it's like, oh, I can throw the ball this fast, so I know I'm that good. But it's like with music, it's like, there's not really like, I guess you can count how many notes you play in a second or how many chords, but
subjective, man.
Yeah, it doesn't really transfer over to your actual ability. And I think the definition of being a successful musician is if you're expressing your emotions, or you're expressing yourself through your music. So, you know, like anybody can be successful in that point, and it's just really like, what are you trying to express at that point, right? Like, if you're a beginner and you're just trying to express drop baby drop, like, then become successful at that. Like, you don't have to take it as like, oh, I haven't reached Europa level yet, or I haven't reached my guitar gently weeps yet. It's like all of those things are successes. If you're getting them, you're doing them, you're getting it down, and you're walking towards like getting better too.
I talked to it was a while back when when I could still play tennis and stuff before all this craziness. But I was talking to a tennis friend of mine. Let's just call him Mikey. So Mikey was like, oh, so you're one of those like touring ukulele players and stuff. Like who's like the top 10 right now of like of the touring ukulele like players. And I'm like, there's no like top 10, because for him he's thinking of it like a tennis player, where like these are the top 10 tennis players based on like USTA rankings or whatever. Like this person's got this many points, won this many like tournaments. So in his mind he's just like, oh, wouldn't the person just like who tours the most or does the most whatever like whatever festival or in his mind he's trying to like make up like a point system for ukulele players to like kind of rank them. And so I'm like, it doesn't work that. It's like super subjective, man. Like music is subjective. Like when you say that like that Bruno Mars is is higher in the tier or rank list than like say the Rolling Stones, like one is doing more stuff now than before. But it's kind of like that. And I told him it doesn't, you can't judge it that way. Like I know you want to equate it to tennis and stuff, but it just doesn't. Like there's no ranking or whatever who's better or who's the best or who's in advance and whatnot. Because even in tennis there's like there's a 3-0, there's the 3-5, 4-0, so on. So there's the 2-5, for like beginners and stuff who are just learning their basics. And it's like if you know these things, then you can move on to a 3-5 or and then 4-0 for those people who don't know. But that's it can't be that way, especially for music. There is just no way to measure like if you're a beginner or an advanced or intermediate and stuff. But just enjoy it, man. That's really my bottom line, is just enjoy the journey. There's so much stuff to learn.
I think the broader scope too, right? Like with music, it's like Aaron was saying, like there's different branches that you take after you get the basics down. Like for the big broad sense of music, there's like guys who are jazz professionals, and then there's guys who are like classical professionals, or guys who are like are like rock musicians and stuff. And I bet like all the people who you consider like the top of those things, they probably look at other musicians and they go, wow, that is like so cool. Like that person is so good, and that's not something that I can do, or that's not something that I've tried to do so far. Like they probably have respect for each other, because it's like, oh, I took this branch and you took this branch, and we ended up at like pretty high levels, but it's totally different things. Like it's not thinking about it as like, oh, I don't like that person because they play this and they look down on it. It's like, I think people who have played music for a while and who understand music, they kind of understand that it's like every genre and every style, like it has its complexities and it has its like deeper, you can go really deep into the wealth of it, that where it's like you can't just brush it off as saying like the one that people like to hate on, right, is like, oh, pop music is so simple. But you can have like pop music, right? Like Stevie Wonder is considered pop, and then his music is like mind blowing, right? So there's always like a depth to all these different branches and all these different styles, and you can go really deep with it too. Yeah.
All right, so we have another question. Also, we are live. This is Thursday live lesson, so we do have a live chat. If you guys want to ask us questions via the chat, you guys totally can.
Yep. We have a question from the forum.
Okay.
And so this is from Robert, and he has a couple questions. And he said, can you say anything about calluses? My fingertips are kind of numb and tingly all the time. I assume this will change with practice, but is there anything I should know or do at this point? I've only been playing for a few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, they'll develop, on your left hand. Right hand, maybe, but not so much. It's really the left hand, and the more you play, the more it's gonna develop. It's gonna hurt less and stuff. But right now, you know, if you've never played an instrument before and you're, you know, trying to play an instrument and you're fretting something for a significant amount of time, it is going to be uncomfortable. You're going to experience some discomfort, but the more you do it, the, you know, the better the or the thicker the callus gets, and just the easier it is for you to play. That's honest, there's no way around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can be a
so
thing.
Would you say so, Kai?
Yeah, I was just I was like working on my song for our songwriting challenge, and I was kind of playing guitar, and I was playing guitar for like hours, which I haven't done in a while. And that's the thing with calluses too, is that if you don't kind of keep it up constantly, they can get soft or they can like flake off, and you know you'll have like soft fingers again. So it is like the more you play, the easier it gets because of that, and then it just like it'll keep up like a constant finger armor of I don't know what a callus is, like hard skin. Yeah, it like you're building up your muscles. It's like yeah.
Yeah, we haven't played music in a while, in a few months, and so like a lot of my calluses are gone, like, you know, from playing guitar. But my fingertips are still harder on this side than on this side. It's just that like the really hard calluses from playing guitar 2 hours straight every week, you know. All of those are gone. So yeah,
yeah, I'm scared of getting super rusty, so I'm actually practicing a lot more now than I was when we were active. Like it feels good, and my fingers haven't lost the the calluses and stuff. I've been working, and then plus like a low Friday Life Jam was like an hour for me to just kind of play and stuff. But I have been practicing like a good boy.
Yeah. I was talking with Abe Lagrimas, and he was like, you know, when this whole thing lockdown kind of stuff happened, he was like, I never actually had a regular practice before, and so this is kind of cool. Like, you know, he's been practicing pretty regularly. So yeah.
Same thing. It's just like, okay, well, I always preach about these things in practice and stuff, and like and how I used to practice all this and all this nonsense. So I tried it out again. Like, you know, I tried to just put on an album and just like learn it, or go like play it. If it's like a Kyle Creator Boys album versus a Pure Heart album, I've tried it too. You know, those albums, see how I can kind of measure up and stuff, and it feels really good. And I do notice how fast I go because I'm trying to play along with a good rhythm now, and it's kind of cool, and it's really I feel like I've improved a little bit, you know, especially just on how I approach the ukulele now, and I'm very, very, very excited to like play music in front of people again, because it's just some new stuff like that I'm cooking up. I'm very excited. And that's why I'm like, I just want everybody else to be as excited as I am, because I've got this like fire again inside of me to just like, man, ukulele was fun again. Not that it wasn't fun, but it's just like I was kind of playing the same stuff like over and over, and just kind of stuck in this doldrums, you know, of my ukulele journey. But now it's just like, oh, why don't I try this, or why don't I try that? And I've been writing some stuff. It's been good. I just want to let everyone else know that, like, yes, now's the time to have fun with the uke.
Yeah, I think that's like a good tip for like anybody who feels like they're in a rut with their uke or music, right? In general, is like try something that you wouldn't have thought of trying before. Like try a new genre or a new song that is just like that. I never would have considered that, but yeah, I'll give it a shot. And I think you'll be surprised at like how like you'll feel like, oh, this is a different thing that I never thought of. So it's like a whole new path to check out. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, should I make like an Instagram account and stuff, and just like post like a practice thing every day, so it would kind of like keep me on schedule. But like, okay, well, I gotta post something, so you know, like we're like, oh, here's kind of what I'm doing now. But if I don't practice, I don't have anything to post, and I think it would kind of keep me just regular with the practice. That's something I'm thinking about doing. So if I don't do it, that's an idea for some of you folks. Just start a whole new Instagram or Twitter or YouTube of just like post your progress. It's really cool because it's cool to look back at what you did. I posted something not too long ago of me playing John King's version of Minuets in F, and it's just like I've always played Minuet as in. I've always kind of played it like that, and then kind of playing his arrangement in F and doing the campanellas of like, it's just completely like a completely different approach to it. It's cool. So I posted it up and I listened to it. I'm like, man, that sounds so good. I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
Next question.
Yeah, Robert. His next question is, my shin cramps up very quickly when tapping my foot. I guess I just need more stretching and calf exercise. But any other suggestions?
It's as easy as like say just like nodding your head, like like anything that will keep keep time. We just say like tap your feet because that's just like a normal like band geek thing to do. Like that's what I did, and that's like a normal musician thing to do. Just tap your feet. It'll keep time. But same thing as just kind of like moving your head. Like the. Anything to kind of keep rhythm, then using your internal rhythm to kind of guide your guide your music or guide your playing, like that'll work. So if you feel like tapping is too much, if you feel like the head nod is too much, anything like if I would kind of even consider my hand as like as something to keep rhythm, because if you're tapping your feet like this, if that's the that's the rhythm of the song, just kind of do that with your hands. So anything really works as long as you're keeping it consistent. So it's just good to tap your feet so you can, in the beginning, you can kind of sync your hand to your foot so that you're always on time. But you can also sync your hand to your, to your head, to anything, or just put on a metronome. That's another thing to consider too, because that'll keep it nice and consistent.
Yeah.
Kevin in the chat said, I've always had to tap my heel versus my toes.
Oh yeah,
and that makes sense too. Like I do that too.
Yeah.
Where you if this is your foot, it's like this instead of this. So you're not over flexing your foot up. Yeah. It's kind of just you keep your toes on the ground, and then you're just you can kind of like just flex your knee instead. Yeah. You lift your knee instead, and then tap your heel on the ground. And then that way you can kind of like sink into it more too, like So so yeah, I do that all the time. and you're probably if your shin is hurting, that's kind of like you're over flexing your foot. Your foot doesn't normally bend that way, so don't do it.
It's totally an Aaron question.
For people who have shin splints running, it's because you're not letting your ankles kind of just like naturally flap back. You're pointing your toe up and trying to make your heel hit the ground first, and that is you're prone for all kinds of injuries that way.
Well, my problem is there's a lot of weight up here that goes on the foot. So when I run, it's like
no matter what you do, it's just the weight that
it's all this weight on my poor tiny little feet.
I think
tiny lotus feet. Go ahead, Kai. Sorry.
I think they did a study too, like a scientific study, where they found that any type of movement in your body, like while you're trying to count along or feel the rhythm, will give you you'll be more on time than if you're just trying to stay still, because it's like staying still is like not natural thing, and you're trying to like actively fight against feeling rhythm. So they said like just any bobbing your head, swaying, anything that you can make you feel like you're kind of connected to the music, you'll get a better sense of rhythm that way. And I know it's hard for some people because they're like, that's not natural for me, but just like just I don't know, just try and feel it out.
Check out
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say check out like taiko like players, like where they full on like move their entire body to the rhythm. It's cool. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
That's all I
Oh
would
no,
say.
no. So interesting. I was just reading. There was like a scientific article about like beat deafness. Yeah, and so like I'm still skeptical though. Like I kind of read it, and they said that it was like, I think it was maybe like 2 people out of 100 or 200 that like, so it's like a very small, like 1% of the population that have this beat deafness. And they just said that like, they had like something going, and all they had to do was clap to the beat, and the beat would speed up and slow down. And then some people were like, chronically either behind or ahead of the beat, and they could never sync up. But I have a feeling that it's just that, like they never learned how to move their body with it, and so they're just focusing on their hands clapping. Like it's so hard. Like if have you ever tried like clapping to something where you just had your hands stationary and then you just try to clap right on the beat? It's not possible, And so if you move your body and have that timing mechanism, I mean, it's kind of like, like a manual clock, the way that weighted clocks used to work. Like if you can do that with your body, you're going to be on more of the time than not, So if you can move your body, and that it's off here and then on when you're hitting, like when you're moving to one direction, it's like so much easier. And I think it's just that some people just haven't had that experience earlier on in life, So but yeah, but it's been scientifically studied, and there's like a name for it, but I don't know if it's to me it just seems like a myth still.
I think they've re-looked at that study and stuff, and I think they have found that it's probably not the best definition of it, because those people, like the same thing, those people can talk normal and they have a regular cadence. So like that just in and of itself like disproves their theory, right?
And they can walk at a regular rate and decide to walk faster at another different regular rate,
I think one of the guys they were testing that with too, he would be fast or slow and stuff, but then I think they found that a lot of the time too he was just hitting the upbeat, like he felt the upbeat instead of the downbeat. So and if you just like took where he was hitting and you dragged it over as a whole, it's like it's pretty even between like all his claps, even that. So like I think looking at it with like a finer microscope, it is like something where it's like I don't know, like if, and they even say like babies who are deaf kind of have a natural sense of rhythm from their heartbeat too. So it is like something that is like seems like it's almost innate in everybody, but I guess there's people who still want to believe like, no, I can't do it.
And then I don't imagine that they'll ever find like a genetic component to it. So if that's the case, then it's not nature, it's all nurture, right? In which case you can learn it, I mean, if you weren't some people would probably have an easier time learning it than others, but like I think it's still learnable, no matter where you are.
I mean, I'm doing the same thing with the kid and stuff, like with my kid. She's like 2.5 now, so but back when she was like 1, like a little over 1, like we would just kind of tap the table or tap whatever, and I just have her like just kind of follow the tap, and she could do it. And it's just like and I was telling my wife, I'm like, if I tried that now, I would have a hard time. Like depending on like how excited I get, I might like, just
Did you have caffeine?
It just depends, like how excited I am. Like if it's gonna stay consistent or not.
Yeah. Are you in front of like 200 people or 1,000 people? It changes.
Yes, because my wife was like, "Oh, she's so good." I'm like, "Yeah, but put her in front of 200 people and see what she
yeah.
does."
Yeah.
Got to quickly discredit my kid. Like, no.
Cut her down to size.
It's not that impressive.
Well, one of my favorite like videos kind of like, musicians like testing themselves is this group of musicians. They like listen to a regular beat, and then the sound would cut off, and then a new beat would start playing, or it's the same rhythm, right? Same groove, but they had to guess if the BPM was turned up or down, like the second time.
And it's a totally different rhythm too.
Well, it's the same like beat, basically like a snare on 2 and 4 or whatever. It's like the drum hits are the same, but then it's just that the program, they turned the BPM like, and it's just like 5 BPM up, 5 BPM down, or something, and compared it to the first time they hear it. So what I liked about that was one of the guys, he's a guitar player. It's Rob Scallon, like, he makes music related videos. And what he did was he closed his eyes and he tremoloed on his like leg, like he did the same tremolo motion on his leg, and he just kept doing that like for the time that the music was paused, or the beat was paused. And then when the second beat was playing, he tried to keep the same tremolo rhythm and see if the beat was ahead or behind him. And from that, he was like, okay, this one is slower, this one is faster. And out of everybody who did it, like participated, he was like the most accurate with that. Like out of all the guys, yeah.
So that's part of it too. So like when you're tapping your foot, you're basically segmenting time, you know? And so the more that you can segment time, the closer that you can be to where the beat is, you know? So like it kind of goes back to that same thing where it's like it's hard to like clap to a rhythm from stationary to on, so what you're doing is segmenting time. You're saying like off on, and then if you segment time even further, you'll probably get even closer, right? So that's kind of like, instead of doing your like quarter notes,
like double time,
you're doing your eighth notes, right? So like and so what Rob was doing was he was segmenting it to whatever 16ths or 30 seconds, and so he would probably be even closer if he can maintain that in his brain.
Keeping that, so and comparing what he's hearing, right? Like is like, okay, so that the beat compared to what I had before is just like pushing it a little bit forward.
You can tell if it's
a little bit back. It feels like
it's faster or slower.
It feels like when I'm tremoling, I'm like my beat is lagging back, or my beat is trying to push it forward, like I'm double timing or something. Then you can get a sense.
And then
like,
he tremoloed his foot, you said?
No, his hand.
Oh, his hand.
He just like did it on his leg.
The motion,
Oh, okay, on his leg. I thought he like used his leg. I was like, it's like a restless leg syndrome, like that kind of thing. But no, okay.
Yeah, he just kind of like pretended like he had a pick in his hand and tremoloed on his leg. But that actually, we've talked about this before too, where if you see like an ukulele club and like a professional ukulele player playing with the ukulele club, like a lot of the people in like, I guess beginners in the ukulele club are doing like just a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Or like whatever. And then the professional is doing double time because that also helps you keep the rhythm. Yeah, so like,
or at least move our hand, too.
Yeah, double time. So you can keep the time better.
I've seen a lot of that, like where people focus on the strumming pattern, and that's why we don't do strumming patterns anymore. They're like, oh, it's down, down, up, up, down, up, and only move their hand like when they have to do the strum, you know, instead of like and just kind of constantly move your hand down, up, down, up, so down, instead of like
like which direction? I forget.
Yeah. So I always and I see it a lot in like the private lessons and stuff. Like, okay, cool. So what you need to do is just have this just consistent, and then just mix and stuff.
I think people are skeptical too when we tell them like, oh, just practice down, up, down, up, down, up, because they're like, how does that translate into this pattern that sounds so complex, right?
Yeah, it's fancy.
Like, yeah, if you do down, up, down, up, down, up, you're not thinking about the rhythm. You're not trying to like conceptualize, you know, on and off or like hitting the rhythm. That is you like physically feeling it at that point, right? If you do it at a steady pace, and it's just like just follow along, just, you know, it. And even that, like, don't, if you're having a really hard time, don't even worry about the chords, just do Z and then just do down, up, down, up, down, up. Like, you will it's almost guaranteed you'll eventually line up with the beat, you know, at some point. There's like no way that you can be like, oh, you're off all the time. It's like you're gonna hit it at least some point.
All right. So really good discussions, guys. Let's hear Kahai's tune. And is everyone's tune is due today, right? Including Kahai, or is just Kahai and everybody else gets an extension?
No, we said that the U Plus members was due today too, but we could give an extension. I don't know.
No. I just wanted to make sure before we say like, okay, cool. The deadline is today and stuff. Okay, so deadline was today. How many people do you know how many people sent stuff in?
Yeah, I think it was the last time I checked. It was Rob and Hansini. So yeah.
Okay, cool. So we'll do a little random number generator between the two, and then we'll pick a winner. We'll send something out. I am getting like I mentioned earlier in an earlier episode, I'm getting a box of the new strings and stuff. So let us know, whoever wins it, let me know which set you want, and then I can put it in there. They should be at FedEx waiting for me today, so I'm kind of excited to go get it today. Yeah. I didn't realize how fast shipping was from Italy. Like, they sent it last week, and then it's here this week. So, like, oh, I was like tracking that thing. Like, oh, now it's here. Yeah. Now it's there. That's like, oh, snap. Like, why does it take like 3 days to get from California to Hawaii? Like, I'll order like a deck of cards or something from like California. It takes like 3 days.
I have a package that's from California that I think I've been waiting for a month. And it's just stuck at a shipment center, I think.
Right. It's like 2 plane rides, right? It's like from California to Oahu to Kauai. Like, that's it.
What I've heard is that it's the barge, and they have to load up the entire barge before they send it over to Oahu. So they're just waiting to fill the whole thing. So I'm just like, oh man, I don't know if I even want that thing anymore. It's been so long.
Did you use like Parcel Select or something? Like, I think if you
slow boat from China.
I think it's because like I pick land delivery, and they're driving on the bottom of the seafloor to get here.
Put in the back of a shark.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Get your package all wet and stuff.
But I mean, sometimes even if it is airmail, it gets stuck in like infinite loops within distribution centers, you know. So like, you know, regular either UPS or USPS, there are certain distribution centers that are more notorious for getting stuck than others.
I especially nowadays, you know, like it's kind of crazy nowadays with shipping and whatnot. I ordered some like flashcards for the kid because we're starting to kind of teach at home, and it went all the way to Oahu. And then the next thing we knew, it went to like Pennsylvania. Like, why did it go back there? And then it went to like Oklahoma, California, then back to Oahu, then to our house. It's like, why? Why'd you do that? So it's weird, especially nowadays. Like, I guess, you know, they're super busy and super backed up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anyway, so back to Kahai. Kahai, tell us about your tune.
Yeah, I did it. I finished it. I worked on it last night and I finished it today. So, yep, I'll play it and then talk about it.
So, what are the guidelines? So, the guidelines are key of what was it?
Key of A.
Key of A. A. Okay, key of A. Just that's it, right? Just get anything in the key of A, and yeah, go ahead.
Kind of for fun, we did the theme song, right? A theme song.
Yeah, theme song and lyrics and all that stuff.
Yeah, and then talking about it too, Rob is in the chat, and Rob actually made a theme song for our live lesson. So
nice.
I was telling him that if he can send it to me, like send me a clean recording of it, I'll try and get it on our try and do something with it, you know.
Nice, so, nice.
Yeah. Okay, here's my song.
Or maybe they can hear.
Yeah, yeah. It was playing on my computer, so it is working.
Oh, so they can hear it.
Yeah. I can do it though for our stuff too. I just forgot to turn on something. I think you should be able to hear it now, but it's gonna have to restart. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nice.
I love the barbecue sauce at the end.
That was like end credits.
Yeah. Well, the beginning, like it started out like a very anime, you know, like intro opening kind of theme and stuff.
Yeah.
And towards the end, it sounded like end credits.
Yeah.
It's it's your theme that you wrote for the live lesson transposed to A. So
cool.
Just the dun 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 dun. Yeah. And then I put chords behind it. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
And
Kahai covered my song, Aaron.
Yeah.
It was very like anime where it's like the first part is like establishing kind of like a riff and something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts off like the dirty guitars and stuff. And there'll usually be like a soft piano and just like a female vocalist, and stuff. And then it comes back with like hard guitar, and then it finishes off the song by repeating that first riff or lick from the beginning, you know. So
Mhm.
That's
yeah,
cool.
I took that structure. I tried to make it into that kind of anime inspired structure. Yep.
Cool beans, man. I loved it. I loved it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Loved it. Some like SpongeBob anime stuff.
Yeah.
We
I
got
think
reference again.
every time I like write a anime inspired song,
Mhm.
we always talk about that, and I put it in the link.
The SpongeBob
Always
anime.
SpongeBob anime.
So hopefully people know about that by now. Yeah.
For those that don't, welcome to a new meme. Okay, yeah. So we have Rob and we have Hamsini. Do you want to do a random number generator, Kai?
I actually
Or you
have
want me to do?
packages for them already that
Oh,
I have to
right
send
on.
out. So
Cool.
if
Let me know. Let me know which strings you want, and I can give it to Kai and he'll send it off.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we actually have for today. We had we have another question, and then we have some student reviews that we had today,
Ooh.
but we didn't
Okay.
get to them. But maybe we can save them for next week too, because we're
Okay.
kind of running out of time. Yeah.
Yeah, we have
So-
a little bit of time. Let's do the question.
Okay. So yeah, earlier Rob said that he just got his baritone ukulele,
Nice.
and he was wondering is there any books for baritone, and I think he's talking about learning jazz too, for jazz in particular maybe. But he said that he's having trouble finding any for baritone.
Lau Ritz has, I believe, a baritone book. Either that or because I know for a fact that he uses a tenor ukulele and he puts like baritone strings on them, and then he just like tunes in baritone. So, any book by Lau Ritz you should be able to use for baritone, but it's gonna be like a high. It wouldn't be G. It would be high D. I guess like a high D, baritone ukulele. Or yeah, I think he uses high D. I haven't read the book in a long time, but you can definitely check that out. And that's like a jazz, it's like a jazz book. Let's see who else has. Huh?
Yeah.
Rob is saying in the chat, he said specifically just a chord guide. That's what he's looking for.
Chord guide.
You can just print that out off of the internet.
Yeah, there's a baritone chord guide online, and it's just there should be
Actually,
diagrams and stuff.
I don't know if Ryan put it in the market, but there is Brad Bordessa. We had him on the show. He did an ebook for ukulele chord shapes, and I know that he did a baritone version. I don't know if we put it into. Oh, I don't think we put it into the marketplace. Yeah, market.ukuleleunderground.com. He has a ukulele chord shapes book, but he has a baritone version. We still have to put that up.
Yeah. You can still check it out on his site though, yeah? And so
yeah, and really you could just use ukulele chords for your baritone and then just transpose them. It's not too hard.
Yeah. I think, and if Rob is looking for specifically for jazz chords for the ukulele, it's the same thing like with the regular ukulele too. You're looking at like probably sevenths, ninths, add chords, diminish chords, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, check out Lau Ritz's book. I still would tell Rob to check that out, because it's definitely some cool, like if you're looking for good voicings, and if and I know Rob, and I know like what kind of voicings he likes and stuff, because when he was at the retreat, I think he did like Hanale Moon with Calais with some really beautiful chordings. So I would still suggest checking out Lau Ritz's book, because he really has some rich, colorful chords.
Yep.
Okay, anything else? You have another question? So yeah, that was kind of fast. That didn't take that long.
So Rob was kind of confused about that the high D, because baritone is tuned D G B E, right?
Yes.
But I guess Lyle Ritz uses higher. It's like a re-entrant D
baritone.
Yeah, for baritone. So it's DGBE. It's still DGBE, but the D is high. like how you would string a high G for G C E A. Yeah.
I would just if you're having a hard time finding sets and stuff, I would go to I would buy like a guitar set, use the bottom 3 strings, then just get a single E string to use as the high D, because I don't know if they make those sets, but if they don't, yeah, so you'd be using the GBE on a classical guitar, and then you would also use the E string at the top, and tune that as a D. That should be good. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Just crazy because I use those same strings to tune it up to G C E A. But then I would use a lower tension, because the ones that we use are super high tension for tenor and tenor ukulele G C E A. So I'd go for a lower tension, like a normal tension or lower, like Savarez or the Dorios, anything.
It kind of is. It's just hard. I think people like don't want to buy a full set and then not or 2 full sets, right? Like if you're trying to get like another specific string, and then not end up using what the E and A string, the low E and A string for classical guitar, right? So it's like, yeah, it's kind of sorry. That's like the best you can get.
Yeah, I kind of want to tune one of my tenors, like how Lauritz did, and then try the arrangements by John King, because like John King's arrangements are with a high G, and it's like a lot of campanella stuff, but I think it'll sound better with that like kind of baritone tuning. So I know what I'm practicing tonight, guys.
That's what Craig and Sarah do, right? Like not the high G part, but they put a baritone set on their tenor.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. You can just buy the Craig and Sarah set. That should be a high D baritone.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
I didn't know.
Is that what they do?
I think.
I gotta go double check.
I think. Yeah, go double check. So it should be D G B E, but with a high D.
If not, just support Craig and Sarah and buy 2 sets.
Yeah, buy it anyway. They're great.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. No other questions? Anybody?
I don't think so. For in the chat and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So if anything, we'll get to the student review next week. All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to Thursday live lesson. Stick around for one-on-one coaching. We will be having that in just a little bit, in about 2:15, 2:20. And you guys can ask me questions there. For those of you folks who are downloading this or who are listening to this via audio, thank you so much. You can check out the video version over at Ukulele Underground, so make sure you check that out. Have a great one, guys. On behalf of Kahai and Aaron, aloha.